Hello, Maggie Williams here again with our second recording in the series on the business model canvas for implementing business products. So today I'm going to talk about customer segments first. If you relate it back, don't have it on here, but if you remember, the key definition of the value proposition is that you create value for certain customer segments. So the customer segments are here on the far side of the business model canvas, but you really need to know for which different customer segments are you creating your value. Choose your segments, define your segments, because it has an enormous impact on the rest of your canvas. So, if you talk about customer segments, they have to be focused on your business. So, if you have different products, it can be that you have different customer segments, but also one product can have multiple customer segments. So there can be a difference between if you cater to the business market or to the consumer market. It can be different whether you cater to the mass market, a really large one, or a niche market. Of course, as you've seen in the long tail business model, there are more and more niche markets available to create a viable business model for. Then there can be multi-sided markets, so especially these are the connectors like the Airbnb, the Marktplaats, Google, etc. There it is very important that if you have an idea that has a multi-sided market, there of course you have the chicken or egg problem. If there's no clients, companies don't want to be on your platform, and the other way around is for potential customers, it's not relevant to be on your platform if you don't have enough on offer. So that can be interesting there to find out who are your specific customer segments. And then there can be a very diversified market. So within a consumer market there can be all different segments. Or within a business market, for example, if you look at cars is almost always a good example to explain anything with. There's a difference between consumer market, where you will always be targeting the people that make the decisions to buy the car are also generally the people using the car. If you target the business market, in general, the people that in the larger companies, people that make decisions about buying the cars, are not the ones driving the cars. So there you have a different type of communication. Within the business market, then there can be a great diversification within the type of businesses. If you have like small vans, it can be for people that really do deliveries, or people that have like small like carpenters and plumbers and these kind of things. That's a very different type of market, which will have different needs and where you will have different market segments, a diversified market. One of the things that is important is that you need to decide who is your customer segment, or customer segments, multiple, but you need to decide who you choose to serve and who you choose to ignore. And it can go, I don't know, maybe you've ever walked into a high-end clothes shop and been ignored. This happened to me, and there I've been, because they have identified me as being of a different customer segment than what they look for. Anyway, I can say a lot more about these things, but let's move on. What defines a customer segment? Well, the most easy thing to talk about is demographics, age, gender, maybe level of education, but also where they are. Of course, urban people, city dwellers are different than people that live in the countryside. So demographics are mostly chosen, but they don't say that much about, for example, people's behavior and people's spending behavior. So if you can identify people that have a certain behavior, that can be your customer segment. Motivation, people that have a certain motivation for entertainment, but also people that have a certain motivation for education, that can be a specific customer segment. When we were setting up IDE, the marketing department of the Hague University gave us several customer segments that they had identified within the international student population. and gave a tip. Okay, which of these segments should you appeal to with your new education? So what can otherwise can define a customer segment? Desires and unmet needs. Those are relatively well-known concepts, I hope. So why target group and segmentation? Well, of course, the very most basic idea is that not one size does not fit all. That's very obvious, and I think most of you can think of that you have different types of segmentations for people that simply need different, where it doesn't fit all. But there's also types of segmentation where your product can be really similar, but the segment that you're aiming at very different. Of course, Diet Coke versus Coke Zero, the products are not completely identical, but extremely similar, but the target groups are different. So specifically, Diet Coke is targeted at women, and because of that, that gives the opportunity to then come with a different product that targets the different segment, in this case more men. So it can be as simple as this. There are other more complex different segments that get catered to with different products. Segmentation can also simply mean more business. I used to work for KP Mobile for a long time, and well, when I started we only had KPN and Hi as the two different brands within the company, and from a operational point of view, I was a project manager in innovation. This was very cumbersome. It's because every product, every service that we made, that we did an innovation in, had to be delivered in 2 versions. If there was only a slight difference in a new service, and it had to go into the IVR, where they say press 1 for this, press 2 for that, then it had to be all changed, one in the KPN style with the more business-like voice, and one in the high style with the younger voice. So everything had to be, we had to do everything double for these 2 different brands. So from that kind of practical point of view, you would say, just do 1 brand. But of course, if you have that separate thing that caters to different segments, whereas High is much more targeted at the youth, your total overall business that you can cover, the total amount of customers that you can get, gets higher. Now, even then later on, within KPN, Simeo was introduced. Later on, KPN bought the Telfort company. They did not decide to rebrand Telfort to KPN and just make it all into the business, because by keeping Telfort, there are specific customers that choose Telfort and they stay with Telfort, and they would not maybe stay with KPN. So if you have different segmentations, your total business potential in terms of customers is larger. Then what is important in that segmentation is that you really think about how you do that segmentation. So the demographics are the most easy or simple thing to look at. But if you simply look at age, that is often not all. KPN versus High is older people versus younger people, but within there are very strong different segmentations of the different types of youth and different types of more business-like, more family-oriented, etc. So you need to have some insights as what binds this group of people together. Now, you can do that in many different ways. If you look at, for example, such as skincare market segmentation, this is just an example that I find here, and they look at, okay, people use beauty products, skincare products in different ways because they have different motivations, different cares, and if you have a product that is really meant that you designed for somebody to really look natural, then of course you have to appeal to that segment. So there, I think it speaks for itself. Because this is very related to a specific subject. Skincare, beauty seekers, this is all straightforward, so to say. It becomes more complicated if you look, for example, at this model. This is a model made by Motive Action, market research, a very famous market research agency in the Netherlands, and they've made this model of the mentality, as they say, of the Dutch people, where they, on the one hand, have the how people look for status, on the other hand, the values and where people are. Now, this is a model. This is more. Sorry for the interruption. I'm back. So this model is often used by, for example, newspapers or political parties to look at the different mentality of market segments again. So one of the difficult things can be to say, okay, are we talking about one segment or multiple segments here? According to the business model canvas theories, customer groups represent separate segments if they need to acquire and justify a distinct offer. They are reached through different distribution channels, for example, the web, the physical shops, telephone. They require different types of relationships. Some need more personal attention, others can be more anonymous. They have substantially different profitabilities. So, for example, if you look at the Bijenkorf in Amsterdam, a lot of tourists come in. But they don't just have one segment of tourists that they look at. They have special services, for example, for Chinese visitors, because they are often there for a short time, have a lot of money to spend, and that's very different profitability type of customer than just the European young adult that is in Amsterdam for different reasons and might have spend a little bit in the Bijenkorf, but that's it. And if they are willing to pay for different aspects of the offer, so if you look at a coffee bar, there might be people that really go to that specific bar for the quality of the coffee, but other people can go there for the atmosphere, or that it's a great place to spot celebrities, whatever. But if people are willing to pay for different aspects of the offer, you have to cater to them as representing a separate segment. What that also means is that you have to go through the canvas in an iterative way. It can be that you have filled in your canvas and that you are looking at distribution channels and that you are looking at the different distribution channels and then think, okay, then there's maybe an option for an extra distribution channel, or we can change something here. Then you have to look at your segments again. What you defined earlier, you might need to redefine in light of what you've been detailing about these distribution channels. So it's not just, you define one thing and then the next, but you need to go back and forth in an iterative way. So, relation to the value proposition, of course I should have started with that, but a value proposition creates value for a customer segment through a distinct mix of elements catering to that segment's needs. So it's very important to clearly define that customer segment because it's that strongly related to the core of your business model. That's it for today. Any questions? Ask them during class. See you next time.